Welcome to the Seed Creative Podcast, the podcast where we discuss both video production and just life in general. The goal of this podcast is the same as the goal of our business, to make a difference in people's lives. Also, I don't know if I want these trees in here. I'm a little bit nasally and runny because yesterday we used leaves on a roof in our studio, and I'm an idiot and I didn't take any medicine, and so I'm probably gonna be like hacking my way through this podcast. But we're just gonna, if you're watching, we're just gonna get rid of the leaves or the trees. That was the trees falling on the ground. They didn't break. Don't worry, Nick.
No,
also, this is Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hi, yo.
Chris.
Thanks for having me.
Flores? Is that
Chris Flores, yes.
Floors or Flores?
Not Flores. Oh, that'd be such a sad last name.
Flores?
Flores.
Okay, that's what I said first. That's what I thought. So, Chris is here, and he's someone that I've known on Facebook for a while. How long? Maybe a year?
Probably like about a year. I've been
about
following
a year
you.
Or so. Yeah. So, and Chris is in our world of video production and stuff, and he reached out to me and was like, "Hey, man, would love to meet." And then somehow it turned into, well, why don't we do a podcast together? And so I was like, of course, because Nick is always on my back about like, we need podcast content, George. You suck at this. And so I was like, hey, this guy Chris can come and we can talk about things. So with that said, Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, where you're from, and we'll just get right into it.
Yeah. Like you said, I'm Chris Flores. Not Flores, Flores.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because that's flowers in Spanish. So it's not the most manliest last name, but whatever.
Bro, I love some flowers. We're good.
So I've been into video production. Funny enough, I got started because my wife one day randomly was like, hey, I want to buy a camera and learn photography. And then guess who's the one that ended up learning to use the camera? Me. So that's how I got into video production, and I'm based in Albertville, and yeah.
Albertville, Alabama,
yes.
Gotcha. So how long have you been doing video production?
So I had like a YouTube channel where I was filming just guitar tutorials, and I was making patches for like the Helix and different other like effects boards. I started that channel in 2017, filming on the phone. And then I started running into audio sync issues, and somebody told me, hey, you need to get a camera. And that's when I got a camera. I didn't really learn it that much, but then forward a couple of years, like probably like literally like February of 2020, before the world shut down, that's when my wife asked to buy a camera. And during COVID is when I actually started learning to shoot and start like trying to get out there and make some stuff.
Wow. So would you say that because of COVID and potentially some of the time that gave you, you were able to take advantage of that time and really like dive in and learn? That's awesome. What kind of camera did you get?
I got a Fuji X-T30
Okay.
at that time. I don't shoot Fuji anymore.
Okay.
But that
What are you
was
shooting
fun.
now?
Panasonic
Okay. Cool. Panasonic.
S1H.
Okay. Awesome, man. Yeah, that's awesome. So what kind of, so are you full time or are you, what are you doing?
This is what I do full time.
That's awesome.
Video production.
What are you like? What would you say your genre is, or what is your niche when it comes to video production?
Right now, it's all straight commercial work. Primarily, the bulk of it is filming brand stories for businesses. Started out filming weddings, and I thought that's where I was going to have to be for a very long time, but God is good.
I
could
love
say that.
how he said, I thought that's where I was going to have to be.
Yeah.
Not get to be.
No.
I feel the same way, dude. Look, I love that people get married and they, you know, it's like a big deal for them. It is. I understand that. And I'm okay with like filming like friends' weddings and things like that because like I care about them as people, but I'm sorry, weddings are just not for me. People that do weddings on a regular basis are built very tough.
Very different.
They're a different breed of human that can handle that and smile every Saturday night have a smile on their face and actually be enthusiastic about
And like
it.
actually care. That's
Yeah,
where
dude,
I like.
it's really difficult to care. I know that we sound like evil people saying this, but I think most of our audience probably are video people and they get it. So hats off to the people that put their career in weddings, because it's tough. It's tough. But with that said, in our messaging in Facebook, you had said that you maybe had some questions about where we are in our journey. So let me give a little bit of context here. Where you are now obviously is where I was at one point. And then there's been a lot of mistakes I've made, a lot of things that I've learned, a lot of things that I'm still learning. And so I think one of the reasons we're doing this podcast is Chris had just some questions and just kind of picking at my brain, Nick's brain. Nick is in the control booth right now, but he can chime in. So with that said, what do you want to talk about, man?
Yeah, like kind of more or less what you just said. Like, I know where I'm at right now. You were, I don't know, 5, 8, 10 years ago. So like, I'd like to just learn from you, pick your brain, and figure out like what kinds of things do I need to start, like avoid, or how do I get to that next level? And granted, like my first year in business full time was November of last year. So I'm going into year 2.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want to think that maybe I'm just being too like aggressive with like I want to grow, like, but I do want to grow. I got goals and things like that. So I guess one of my first questions is like, was there like a certain project or was there like a certain connection that you made, whether in the community or maybe just with other video production people, like that helped like maybe open that door for you to start growing?
There is a lot to unpack in this first question. So yes. So I've told my story like 3 times on this podcast. I'm not going to go super deep into it, but I worked for a company called Centos. They were, that was my place of employment. I worked there, and they also were, I guess, technically my first client. So that was the first like ding, ding, ding moment. And it wasn't even me. It was my wife who actually was like, hey, you should do video production. I just did it for fun. So that was like the super fast version of how I got started. I would say in my first year was tough. You know, we really struggled through that first year, but it was where I believed that God wanted me to be. And so we stuck through it. I'm glad we did. I believe it was in my second year that things actually started to make sense. And there are a few reasons as to why. So I did get involved with a local videographer who does weddings. And that was really helpful for me to just maintain some sort of consistency with work. So that was really good to connect with other people that are in your field. There was a company in Birmingham called Vulcan Media. We still have a great relationship with. They do corporate video. I also connected with them, and they were, again, another great resource. They would sub me out, use me, once a week, something like that. It was just consistent work. I would shoot and edit for them. So those were 2 very great things. But I still, and you probably do this too, you still have to look at them, even though they're in your world, they're in your field, they are still your clients. So Vulcan Media was a client of mine. I was doing work for Vulcan Media for their clients. Same with the wedding stuff. So like I had to really think of it that way and not think I work for Vulcan Media. I work for this other place. Does that make sense? But where it really started to like click is when I got involved with the Chamber of Commerce. And I've talked about this tremendously too. All chambers are different. We're very fortunate that we have a strong Chamber of Commerce here in Tuscaloosa. It's the Chamber of Commerce of West Alabama. As a matter of fact, for the year 2020, they won Chamber of the Year, and that's global. That's not statewide. That's not country. That is a global recognition for the best Chamber of Commerce in the world for the year 2020 of all years. So we're really fortunate, like I said. But what I did, I got involved with them, and I came to them and said, look, I have no money. I cannot afford a membership for the year. But what I can do is there are some mutual, beneficial things. There are services that I can offer that would be of more value than what I would pay for a membership to you. And so I started doing free videos, annual videos that they show at their annual event. It's basically like a State of the Union kind of, this is where we are as a chamber. These are all the great things we did last year. We still do that to this day. As a matter of fact, we filmed some earlier this week, or it might have been last week. And then we're filming more Friday for that event. We still do that. That's our trade. And the way that benefits me is I'm a member of the chamber, but also everyone at that meeting. There's like 500 people that come to this meeting, and they're all decision makers, and everyone sees the product that I create. So they see the videos that we make, and then it works because we put our branding on there. And the first time I did it, we landed a client called BF Goodrich. And they are a tire manufacturer. They're owned by Michelin. I'm sure everyone has heard of either Michelin or BF Goodrich. The first year I ever did this, we got BF Goodrich as a client, and we did a video very similar to the one that we did for the annual event. They saw the annual event video. They said, this would be a perfect format for our 70th year anniversary video. And so I got them as a client. They are still a client. I was talking to them earlier this week about some more videos and photos, and that was 7 years ago, I believe. So your question was there like a first thing that happened? Yes. Chamber of Commerce, annual event video, BF Goodrich. We got our first real client, like a substantial, this is someone that we're going to work with for hopefully the rest of the longevity of Seed Creative. I mean, we still have a great relationship with them. We're still doing videos, so I think that is the case. So, and that was a year and a half in, maybe even close to 2 years by the time it actually happened, that I was just kind of living, client to client, video to video. One of the changes that I made is when I was first, quote, selling video, it was kind of like a one and done mentality. Like I got client A and I'm going to do a video for them. Yes, I got paid. On to the next client. And dude, I was figuring all this out on my own. Like, it's so stupid, but like, I feel like an old person saying this, but even the resources that I had in like 2014 when I started are nowhere near at the caliber of resources that people like you have now, where there are people like me and people that have been doing it for a while that are putting on YouTube, hey, here's how you do it. Here's how you run a business. There was very little of that when I started. So it was really like just grinding and figuring it out on my own. And, but that was, so like I said, BF Goodrich, that was one, that really made a big impact. The second year we did that, we got a client called Maccabee Construction. Same way. They saw it. They loved it. Maccabee Construction is still a client to this day. We're wrapping up some video projects for them right now. So, getting involved in your Chamber of Commerce is something that I would recommend to everyone. Go to the meetings. I'm bad about not going to all the meetings throughout the year. I'm going to do better about that. I hope this year, because my wife is making me, but go to the meetings, go to the annual event, get plugged in, talk to people, build relationships, because the relationships that I've built even to this day are invaluable, because of friendships and also just monetarily. We've done a lot of NIL deals, this past year. If you don't know what NIL is, that stands for name, image, and likeness. And these are deals that essentially college athletes are now allowed to be paid for their name, image, and likeness by other companies. And they need video production, photography, stuff like that. And because of the relationships that we cultivated through the chamber, there are people in the NIL space that already know us. They know we're going to do a good job, and they just we're the obvious choice in that regard. again, because we have the relationships, but also because we've proven ourselves over the past, 8 years, 9 years, however long we've been doing this chamber, 7 years, whatever it is. I don't remember. But anyway, that was the long version. That was the long answer to what you just asked. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions about any of that, that's fine. Or if you have another question, hopefully that'll help somebody.
No, like I can't wait for this to be done and posted so I could like just rewatch it.
Yeah, dude.
I wish I could be writing
Take
down
notes.
right now. Yeah. I like that chamber idea. Like, fortunately, I do have pretty good relationships with chamber people in my area.
Good.
But like, I just haven't thought about that.
Are you a member?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So you are a member. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So dude, like, so here's the other side of that. When we're doing the videos annually, they're always bringing in people that are major players in the industry for the interviews for the annual event, things like that. DCH, that's Druid City Hospital. That's our local hospital here. They are a client of ours. We are filming with them Friday. Right? Is it Friday, Nick? Yeah.
Yes, it's Friday.
Okay, so we're not doing chamber stuff this Friday.
Yeah, no, we did chamber last week and then chamber next week.
That's
we have DCH twice this week.
See, it starts running together. Yes, so Friday we're doing DCH, and then we've got chamber stuff next week. But DCH, another resource, another connection that we made because of our involvement with the chamber. The very first time I met our contact at DCH was actually because of COVID. We were doing videos for the Chamber of Commerce to talk about, here are the things that we're doing and here's how we're supporting first responders. Mm-hmm. And I went out there and filmed with some of the nurses at DCH, and that's how I made that relationship. So you never know like how it's going to work, but just getting plugged in, talking to people face to face, shaking their hands, not making as many cold calls as I used to, but like actually being in there and proving yourself, proving your value. People notice it. DCH didn't have to come to us and ask us for a quote for the first round of videos we did. They could have just Googled someone and used someone else, but they knew of our work, and they knew that they had talked to us before. They knew we're right down the road because of the chamber and because of the videos that we do for them. So it really, really is a great resource. And I recommend everyone get involved in those. If you don't have a strong chamber, change it. Be the strong part of the chamber. Be like, our chamber is not very good, but they've got some great videos. Like, I'm telling you, like, you can be the person that makes everyone say, our chamber used to not be very good, but they started doing these videos and now they're awesome. I'm telling you, like, you can be that person that makes the change. So, yeah, hopefully that helps.
So, like, I guess I want to talk a little bit about, like, you hear, at least I hear a lot about, like, on YouTube, and, like, you have to know your worth, you have to know your value, like, you can't do free work. Like, what's your take on that? Like, at what certain limit, or what kind of, like, how do you work that into where I'm going to do something for free, knowing that there's a lot of potential connections to be made versus someone almost taking advantage of you? Like, how does that look like to you guys?
A lot to unpack here, just like the last question. So, free work. So we have to define that. I guess technically what we did for the chamber was free work, but it has paid dividends. And then when you really get into it, it's not free. You get a membership and you get all that. Like, dude, exposure bucks are absolutely real, but only by people that have a currency of exposure bucks that is a real thing. So the chamber was free work, and we've made a lot of money because of doing that. But dude, you have to use Nick, help me with the word. When you can internally process something and like this is a good idea or a bad idea.
Discernment? Is that the word you're going
for? That is the word. Thank you.
Golly,
Nick.
That was
I told you, dude, my brain is not working because of the leaves and the crazy allergies that I'm dealing with right now. But you have to use discernment in knowing these people are asking you for help in whatever way. Are they just saying, we'll give you exposure, or are they really like, no, like we will give you exposure? Like there is a difference. And you have to be wise and have discernment, but you absolutely cannot put in your brain, don't do free work. You can't do that. Like there are times that it makes sense. And dude, there are times too where like you might just want to be a nice person and just do it just to be nice. Like we've done that too, where it's like, you know what? They're not going to make a big impact for us, but it's not going to cost us a lot of time. We do have the resources. They're a struggling company or whatever. Yeah, just come on. We'll film it. Or we'll do it for $100 or like some just ridiculously inexpensive price. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you see what they're doing, you see what they're trying to accomplish, and you could be the person that helps change the trajectory of their career. So I'll give you an example. A buddy of mine named Matt Hogue, he's okay with me sharing this. We've talked about this extensively, and he talks about this online all the time. I spoke with him yesterday. Matt Hogue is a photographer. Matt has an incredible story of how he got into photography. He was addicted to heroin and got in trouble, went to jail for it. Now, this is back like a long time ago, like 20, I don't even know. Like, I might be wrong, 2014, 2015, 2013 maybe. I don't know the exact year, but I know that it's been quite a while since this happened. But he went to jail, had to figure out a way, like, how am I going to stay clean? Because he's truly addicted. His sister bought him a photo camera, or actually, no, they already had one. She let him borrow it. He went out. He was like, all right, instead of like thinking about the heroin, I'm going to go, every time I think about it, I'm just going to go use this camera and take photos just to get his mind off of it. He does this, he takes some photos, puts it on Facebook, and people are like, wow, I want to buy this photo. And that was his spark. Kind of like how my spark was like the Centos videos. Mm-hmm. It's like his spark was, wow, I could actually do something with this. He's coming up, he's taking photos, he's putting them online every day. I'm seeing it. I know Matt, I went to school with him. I know a little bit of his history and his story, and I'm just something in my soul, and I know that was God, is like, get this guy's story out there. Dude, Matt doesn't have any money at the time. Like, he's not a, he's a real photographer, but he's like still like figuring it out. At the time, like, he's figured it out now. He's doing great. But I was like, dude, like, if you tell your story, you are going to make so many connections. I will shoot it for free. And I'm begging him to come do it. I'm like, I know that this will be a good thing for you. And I was transparent. I was like, it'll be a good thing for me too, because I think I can tell your story in a way that I can use your video as a sales tool to show people we know how to make documentary films. We can do it. I beg him for like a year. Like, he's really like doesn't want to do it. And then finally he's like, man, you know what? Just something inside me tells me to do it. Long story short, he does it. It goes very well online. I do it for free. He starts making all these connections. People are contacting him from all over the world. Your story has inspired me. I want to support you. They're buying photos from him. They're doing all these things. And that was just us saying, we want to help you. And we did it for free. But I try to make things multi-purpose as much as possible. So I'm like, I tell him, hey, I'm going to use your story too to show other people if that's okay. He's like, of course. We use his video to pitch it to a local arts council in Tuscaloosa. And we say, I want to do this thing called Artist Spotlight, where we make a video about a local artist, and then, we can get like funding through the Arts Council, because that's what they do. Like, you pay us for a monthly thing and we'll spotlight local artists, all this stuff. They love the idea. They talk about this artist that's doing some stuff for them. It ends up catching wind of the Alabama Arts Council, the state. And then they also hear about, sorry, I'm getting messages. Then the Bicentennial Commission hears about it and all this stuff. They see Matt's video and they want to have a meeting with us about spotlighting, talking about an artist that's doing stuff for the Alabama Bicentennial Park in Montgomery, right in front of the Capitol building. Long story short, we get the documentary gig with the state. At the time, it was the highest paying thing we had ever gotten for a video, and then we won an Emmy for it. So, and that was all because of free work. That was because of the video I did with Matt Hogue for free. Then we got another really well-paying documentary that has yet to be released about the Sloss family in Birmingham. It will be released later this year. They saw the documentary that we had won the Emmy for, and we got that with Jacksonville State University. So, if you make wise decisions with what are you going to invest your time in, dude, it's not free work, it's an investment. Like, think of it that way. I'm investing my skill into this because I want a return on that investment. Now, if someone walks in the door and they're like, hey, we want you to film for our local mom and pop restaurant and we want you to do it for free just because, dude, you have to use discernment. Is this a wise investment? Is this a wise use of my time? Sometimes it's no, but like that's totally on you. But like I don't want anyone to ever think, don't do free work. Like do not have that mentality, because if we wouldn't have done free work, dude, I might not be in business anymore. That's not a joke. Like if we wouldn't have done chamber stuff, I might have gone back to Centos and be a truck driver right now. Like, if we wouldn't have done the stuff with Matt, I mean, there were some times in there where it's like the documentary was all we were working on, and we could, but like they were paying us, so we were good. So anyway, I told you there's a lot to unpack. Every single question is going to be that long. Nick, if you have to shut me down, just chime in and tell me, because I'll talk for forever.
Y'all doing good so far.
Or if I need to ask simpler questions like, what's your favorite color?
I love it. I love it. Keep going. This is my jam.
So what's your favorite color?
I don't know.
You don't got a favorite color?
Green, maybe?
Why? Because it's the color of money.
Maybe. I don't know. I just like green. I have no idea why.
Green's my favorite color, and I'm not just saying
blue,
that. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yep.
Nick, what's your favorite color?
Crimson, like red, Alabama.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I probably could have guessed that. So fast forward, right?
Yep.
It's just you. You're out here grinding. You did the chamber stuff. You got BF Goodrich. That was pretty cool. Like, at what point were you like at a place where it's like, I need help? Like, what did that look like?
Yeah, dude. So, I mean, let me tell you this. I've needed help since the beginning. I don't know what I'm doing. And I know everyone says that. So, whatever. But, like, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I know for a fact I didn't know what I was doing at the beginning. It started to get where I really needed some help probably in year 3, maybe year 3.5, something like that. I sought people out. You know, I'd have some people come for one-offs. For whatever reason, it just never worked out. But then I don't know if technically if Adam is the first person that came on and stuck around, or if it would be Jacob. Adam is like full-time seed creative. So he's the first like full-time seed creative person, other than myself. Jacob has been doing things with me and seed for longer, but Jacob is still very much his own entity, his own thing. And we use him regularly, but like he's his own kind of, he's not like devoted to seed in the way that Adam is. But it's, you know, it's one of those things where like Jacob came around for free at first. Like he just wanted to learn and intern and stuff. And then it just turned into hey, this guy's actually pretty good. Like he's adding value. We can pay him a little bit. But it just happened organically. So there's not like a big, long, you know, awesome story in that regard. It just kind of was like, I'm going to do it as much as I can by myself. And then people started coming along instead of me trying to get people, because that never worked. It just, the people that wanted to be around me and wanted to do work, they kind of came and it stuck around. You know, some people have come in and come out, and that's okay too. But like for the most part, you know, Adam, Jacob were kind of the first. That was probably like 2017. And then, you know, shortly after Gavin came along, he's still here. Nick came along, he's here. So, I'll tell you this too, when I started having help, you know, specifically Adam, I will give Adam a ton of credit because Adam already knew. He had been doing video for longer than I had. So he kind of knew more than I did when he came in and started helping. But when I started having help, I realized like, okay, this is a real business. Like we can really do a lot when I can divide myself, is the way I felt at the time because I had been the only one doing it, but divide the work rather, like spread it out and actually trust other people to do a good job and do something that's representative of, you know, the Seed creative way. That's when it was like, okay, this is a real business. Like I had a studio then, which is in the same building as this one's just two spots up. You know, I can talk about the studio a little bit. I was working at home for a long time, and then I realized I was never not at work when I was working at home. And that, like, some people can divide it and they're great about it, but like I can't. So when I had my office at the house, dude, like I was always at work. Because I'm there, I'm at home. Well, let me run up and check on this render. Let me run up and add one more title to this. You know what I mean? And it's like I was never really present for my family the way that I needed to be. I still struggle with that because of phones and stuff. I have to like set my phone in the room and just leave it, and not look at it for hours at a time because I'll get sucked back into work mode. But that's one of the reasons I got a studio. Wasn't necessarily because I thought I need a studio. It was more like I need a studio so that I can separate work and family. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so that was really helpful. But then with the studio came more overhead. But then luckily I had a studio and Adam had a place to come and put a computer and work. And so it really just, all of that happened really naturally and organically. And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I totally feel you on that front. Like right now, the home office thing, like I've gotten to where when the kids go to bed, most nights I'll just work until like 4 or 5 in the morning. Then I call it a night. But yeah, I'm hoping in 2023 a studio's on the horizon.
Yeah, and dude, like I said, I'm not bashing anyone that works from home. Like working from home is a beautiful thing, and there will be days where Gavin is working on his PC at the house, and Nick has a computer at home and a laptop, and I'm like, hey guys, we're just gonna work from home today. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? So it's a fantastic thing to be able to do that. It was just for me, especially when I was by myself, everything fell on my shoulders. And so I was like, I gotta work 18 hours a day. Like, you know, like I have to. Like it's not like I want to. It was like I have to, or these projects don't get done. So it's been a blessing to be able to have a studio and have people, not only have people helping, but just have people that are all devoted to the same goals. Like the Seed Creative, at the end of the day, we exist. Well, I mean, we exist to make money. We exist to be like to provide for ourselves, but we really exist to make a difference in people's lives. That's what we truly believe. And we believe that even with like safety videos, like training videos, corporate videos, like these videos can and absolutely do make a difference in people's lives. The guys that are watching these safety training videos, they may literally go home that day because they remembered a safety point from our video and didn't make a stupid decision and die on the job site. You know, it gets that serious. So, yeah, it's awesome that there's people here. And it all happened organically.
So, okay, so I guess we forwarded in time. Like, I'm going to backtrack a little bit to when it was just you.
Okay.
Doing you and by yourself. Just basically, like, I call it just Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and I. How did you stay organized, or how did you, like, not just pull your hair out, like, trying to, like, edit, sell, shoot, deal with emails and calls? Like, what helped you?
God and my wife. because I mean, I was going crazy, you know, dude, especially at the beginning. Like, I was walking around these streets that we now have a studio in with a backpack, a laptop, and a Canon 5D Mark III that, you know, I had to freaking ask people for money, like on Facebook, like, hey, will you invest $100 in my business? Like, I mean, and I've told that story too. I mean, I don't know how I didn't pull my hair out. I mean, I probably should have. It was just one of those things where it's like, if you've made your mind up, and also it's like, well, I've got children and a wife and like bills. Like, I have to do this. You know what I mean? So you just, I don't know, you just do it. A lot of prayer, a lot of faith, a lot of, again, I mean, leaning on my wife a lot, leaning on her faith, which is an interesting way to put that. And I don't even know if that's, I mean, I'm probably considered a bad Christian for that. I don't know. But like, I didn't even have like the faith in a lot of this stuff, but she did. And I trust her. So I was like, I leaned on her faith for this to be a thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, maybe there's some good in that. Maybe there's some not so good in that, but as far as staying organized, I'm not super organized. I mean, we still, like, I think that we have an okay system. There are still things that could be so much better about the way that we do things here internally at Seed. Adam has been a huge help in that because I'll tell him what I need, or tell him like, hey man, we need a weekly update on where we are, like client statuses, who's working on whatever, and he's been able to do that because he is someone that can sit there for 2 hours, come up with a spreadsheet, and send it out weekly, you know, so that just everyone knows what's going on. I'm trying to think back, dude. A lot of it was just in my head. Like, that's how I stayed organized.
Yeah.
It's like I wasn't writing stuff down. I wasn't. Like, I didn't. I was like, okay, I know that I talked to this person 2 weeks ago. I know that I need to follow up with them. Like, we're really good about just using our calendar to stay organized. So it's like, I mean, I've got stuff in my calendar, like follow up with this person tomorrow for this, you know, we were talking about this kind of video. And then I just forget about it, and then it'll remind me, and then I go and do it. So that's one way that we do it now. But when I started, it was just all internal, like in my brain. Just remember as much as possible and just do it every single day. And I'm really good at annoying people too. So like, I didn't let things go for too long in my head. Like, I was either going to get a yes or a no pretty quickly and then just move on to a new sale. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So, and it was very much like get a project, do the project, they like it, all right, next project. The way we juggle multiple projects now, I was not doing then. You know, it was like one project. Now it's like 10 projects, 5 projects, 7 projects, 10 projects. It's like, that's how it is now. But again, it's because it's spread out beyond just me. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of vague. It was it was probably not the answer you wanted, but like, I don't know how I didn't stay organized. Like, I wasn't organized. It was just like a project, work. That's what it was.
Yeah, I was just trying to like see if maybe you had something like I had a certain workflow or a certain order of that I would do things or approach things, but it sounds like the way you started, that's pretty much what I'm doing right now.
Dude, I was just making it up. I didn't know what I was doing.
Keeping it in my head. Like, I know what's up here, and like, I talk to people thinking that they know what I'm talking about, but...
Yeah. Dude, using the calendar really, I know that it's so simple. It's so basic, but just... if you talk to someone, put it in the calendar, and then set it for a week later, just be like, follow up with this person. Or tell them, better yet, I did this yesterday. I'm like, I tell the person that I'm talking to, hey, I'm going to follow up with you on Thursday at 12:30. And that sets an expectation in their head. I need an answer for him Thursday at 12:30. You see what I mean? We can talk a little bit about that if you want. But, dude, like, everything in any business, but especially a service-oriented business like we're in, is about setting and managing realistic expectations. If there's any nugget from today that you can potentially learn from, that anyone else can learn from, it is setting and managing appropriate expectations for your clients. Because if they come in expecting Hollywood and you don't deliver Hollywood, even if you deliver a great video that's going to work for them, they're going to be mad. Doesn't matter. They're going to say, why are we spending this money? What is this? But like setting and managing appropriate expectations will save you so much time, so much heartache, so much money. So what we do when we sit down with a client, when we talk with a client on the phone, we just tell them, all right, here's the process. So the process is our initial meeting is like, think of it like discovery. Why did you call us, client? What are you wanting? And they say, well, we want a promotional video, or we want an about us video. We'll use that because we do a lot of those. We want an about us video. And then we say, okay, cool. So where is this going to live? And they say social media and on our about us page. Got it. Why do you want this video? Okay, well, a lot of it is asking them questions and letting them fill it in. You don't talk too much until it's time, until you're ready to give your expertise. And they're going to say, well, a lot of people will land on that page, and we've noticed, like, when we look at our analytics, that they're only spending, this many seconds on this page. So we know they're not reading the whole thing, but when we see video, they have a higher retention rate, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, cool. So in your mind, Mr. Client, what does this video look like? And that is a huge, huge key in setting and managing realistic expectations. Because to me, I have an idea of what an About Us video looks like, but it might look completely different to them in their mind. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. For all we know, when you think of an About Us video, let me tell you what I think, and you tell me if that's what you think too. I think a little bit of an opening B-roll. We've got their branding and signage, establishing shots immediately, and then we're straight into interviews with employees talking about their company. Is that what you see in an About Us video?
Yes. My take on instead of going straight to the employees, maybe like the person that started the company telling their story, but
okay,
that's the format.
Same. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Okay, cool. Now, what if your client says, well, we were really thinking it was going to be a lot of shots about what we do, and you know how there's like a voice where someone's just talking over it? A voiceover. We know what that is. We were just thinking like we have a script written and there's a voice talking over it. Boom. That's a totally different video. That's totally different. Now you've just eliminated the need for setting up interviews. It's just B-roll. It's B-roll in a script, and you go to Fiverr or somewhere to get a good voiceover. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, like, setting and managing those expectations by saying, what does this video look like to you? Now, sometimes they're going to say, we don't know. You're the expert, and they're going to be kind of a jerk about it. And you say, well, the reason I'm asking is because we want to set and manage expectations. Just tell them what you're doing. These are business people. You don't have to hide behind some weird lingo and try to get the sale and you got the sale if you're there. You see what I'm saying? Like most of the time. If you're sitting in front of them in person, you probably have the sale. So this is your job to figure out what they want, and then you can lend your expertise and say, well, we've noticed that people really find a lot of value in sitting down and having employee interviews, maybe the founder of your company explaining how they started the company, things like that. And then now that just opened their eyes. We didn't even think of interviews. You see what I mean? But the first thing is asking them, what does it look like? Then is the fun part where you say, okay, we do a wide variety of videos across a bunch of different budgets. Do you have an established budget for this video? Sometimes they're going to say yes and say, we wanted to stay in this range, and they'll give you a range. Sometimes they're going to say, I don't know, you tell me. Mm-hmm. It depends on how confident you're feeling. I mean, I'll say stuff like, well, we could do it anywhere from $5,500 to $500,000. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the range. Like, we can, here's a baseline, 5,500, 10,000, whatever number your number is. And then here's where it could be. And you say you can pick somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? And then they're going to laugh, or they're going to be like, "Oh my God." You know what I mean? But you say, "No, really, like that's how we work is we can take almost any budget up, like starting at this point, and we can make something." And they'll say, "Well, what does a $5,500 video look like versus a $500,000 video?" And then you can say something like, "Well, I've never done a 500,000 video. I was hoping you'd be my first." Ha 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 ha. You know what I mean? Like, get them laughing, but just say no. Like, the way that this works is the more that you put into it, the more we're going to bring to the table. Instead of a 1-day shoot, we're going to be here for a week. We're going to go to multiple job sites. We're going to bring in, higher end cameras. We're going to rent these cameras. We're going to bring in more people to handle hair and makeup and wardrobe and things like that. You know, like start explaining that this is where the costs go, and say it depends on what you want it to look like. Do you want Hollywood, or do you want, you know, a nice local video? We can do both. Anyway, they're going to pick a range at some point. And then, you know, okay, that means I can allocate a full day of shooting, 2-person crew, 3-person crew, whatever. We're going to do interviews for the first half of the day, break for lunch, B-roll for the second half of the day. You know what I mean? Just something like that. And then you tell them, set your people up, you know, figure out who you want. We'll come and do a location scout. We'll look and see, like, we're going to have this person in this office, this person outside in the factory, whatever, you know, get a plan going. And then, we get a deposit. We get a 50% deposit. We don't touch anything without a deposit. So you say deposits due immediately, and then we can, you know, or book the dates, deposits due, you know, to book the dates, pay the deposit before we get there. We set the expectations of the day. We're going to try to stay on schedule. It's possible that there's some deviation. It just depends on how easily people are answering questions. Are they prepared? We always tell them, if anyone's being interviewed, make sure that they're people that aren't camera shy. Make sure that they're articulate. There are very, very smart people that can't articulate what's going on in their head. You know what I mean? So don't pick your smartest person. Pick your articulate person that's going to tell your story and do it effectively and well. You know, things like that. Set expectations. That's what I mean by that. Don't pick your IT guy that's been there for forever, but he's not someone that wants to be on camera. Like, some IT people might want to be on camera, but most of them don't, and that's okay. Like, they're like, dude, leave me alone. I've got work to do. I don't want to be on camera. And then there might be a salesperson who doesn't know everything about your business, but they can sell it. Put them on camera. You know what I mean? They can have that energy and enthusiasm. Set expectations. That's what I mean by that. We film. We've told them up front, typically it's a 2 to 3 week turnaround for your first draft edit. Don't expect anything until 2 to 3 weeks after we've shot. Set expectations. Boom, they know. They're not expecting later that week they see a draft. 2 to 3 weeks goes by. You've delivered a first draft. You've told them beforehand. We have a Nick, help me. Is it 2 or 3? I think it's a 3-round revision process.
It's 3 major revisions.
So we say we have 3 rounds of revisions that you are allowed, and you make it clear that you are allowed until an hourly rate kicks in to continue the editing process. Okay? What that means is you take your first draft and you watch it, you let other people see it, give feedback. 1 round of revisions. So there's a, you know, we don't like the color of this font, or like, you know, like just whatever it is. You know, typically you're going to work with their marketing agency, or I'm sorry, whoever their branding person is internally or whatever, get all their fonts, logos, branding, guidelines, stuff like that. So you should be good there. But just in case you didn't, or they don't have it, You know, what's that look like? Oh, you know, you've got the wrong shot of this machine when they're talking about this machine instead. Like, those are the revisions. Do you like the music that I've chosen, Mr. Client or Mrs. Client? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a big deal. Like, is this music, is this vibe going to work? You know, again, you've tried to set these early. Say, do you want like a hype video, or do you want like a more like, I can't think of the word, but more like intentional, like kind of softer music, like this is our story and we're really passionate about it. Set those expectations early. Hopefully they don't change the music, because if they change the music in your first round, it's not that big of a deal. If they change it in your third, you're screwed. So like, ask them. And then
Yeah.
and then it's like, all right, we're good. We hardly ever get to 3 rounds of revisions anyway. We're good. Okay. Your video's done. Final payment is due, and we can send you the file. Done. Finished. Over. I follow up with them again about a month or 2 months later. Hey, how's the video going for you? What have people been saying about it? Is it working for you? That's awesome. Now that we've got that video done, we were thinking when we were there, we noticed, you know, you had all these people working here. We've done your About Us video. Have you ever considered a safety orientation video for new hires? Oh, you haven't? Well, we'd love to tell you about that. And you just start going it, treat them like, yeah, we're doing videos for you now.
Mm-hmm.
Not the video's done, bye. You know what I mean? It's like we've established a relationship. You know we're going to deliver. All right, would a safety orientation video help free up the job foremans that are out working with these new hires? Would that help? It would. Of course it would. Okay, let's talk about that. You know what I mean? And just go right back into selling. It's so much easier to sell someone that you've already
Mm-hmm.
worked with than it is like a new client. You know what I mean? It's very easy if you do a good job. If you don't make them mad. But again, if you set those expectations and then you deliver on what you've established, where you deliver a higher quality, you're good. You're set. I know that was a lot.
No, I mean, like, yeah, that was a lot.
But there's a process.
yeah.
And go back and listen to this, write it
Mhm.
down. But that process is our process, and it works. And we hardly ever like lose clients. Like I don't know of any that would consider have lost. You know what I mean? When we follow that process, that's the key. If we don't follow that process, if we slack, if we're delivering things that aren't up to their expectations, and sometimes, I mean, I've been guilty of this where we really need to make sure that we're maintaining quality control, and we send something out, and then we watch it and we're like, crap, like we totally missed that. That's our fault. You know, you can lose clients if you try to grow too quickly, if you try to move too quick. But again, if you follow that process, if you set those expectations early, you manage their expectations throughout the process, constant communication, and you deliver on those expectations, you've got a client for life. You really do. So,
All right, let's do any last rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Rapid fire answers.
rapid fire.
Rapid fire. How do you deal with gas? Help me. How do you deal with gas?
Gas, usually Gas X.
Not that kind of gas,
know.
man.
What do you mean? So like paying for
I mean, you're like, crap, I want a new lens, or I need this new lens, or this new camera, or how do you deal with gas?
gas? Is that what you're saying?
Uh-huh.
GAS?
Yes.
Does that stand for something?
Do you not know?
No, is it like gear
Acquisition syndrome?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dude, I told you I don't know what I'm doing.
He doesn't have that.
I don't have that.
Yeah, I was
For
going
real?
to say,
Oh no.
I have to chime in here. He wants stuff, but like it's the opposite. I'm gone now, bye.
Bro, I don't spend money on crap. Like I
How do you get to that place?
Well, so when I was younger, I was dirt poor and homeless. I mean, we could get into that. That's not a short answer. Dude, we still use my 5D Mark III for stills. That's the camera I started my company with is still our stills camera. We shoot stuff on C100 Mark II all the time. That's the camera that I bought in 2017. We shot yesterday, C200. fantastic camera. To me, it's about, I really do live by, it's about the story you're telling and not the gear that you have. Your gear does not matter in that regard. It doesn't matter when it comes to delivering a product that's going to make a difference for your client. That's all that matters. I can make a difference for my client with a C100. So that's what I use. You see what I mean? Like, that's what I care about. Yeah, dude, I want it to look good. Like, it needs to look good. We're a video production company, of course. But a lot of the video production that we do isn't, like, the main focus isn't the look. It's what is it doing? Is it a tool? And you can create adequate tools with minimal gear. I'm not saying show up with an iPhone, but, like, with minimal gear. This podcast is being shot on classic C300s that I bought for $300 a piece. Those are nifty 50 lenses. Those are $100 a lens. And that's a Pancake 24. I think it's $140 for the Pancake. Those tripods were like $130 a piece. This table was $100. These are Rode podcast mics. What are they? $199 a piece, $100 a piece?
They're $99 a piece.
Not $100 a piece. These arms were like $30 off Amazon. That is, even though it has an aperture lantern on it, so the lantern is decent. Those are Klar lenses. They're like an off-brand, not lenses, lights. These foam panels were, I don't know, $100 off Amazon. Dude, like, you can do things that make an impact for pretty inexpensive. We do have a red. It was given to us for free. So that doesn't matter. Do you know that story?
I don't know that story. How did you get a free Red?
All right. We got to do a whole other podcast. Well, we've done another podcast. The CEO of Red saw a video we made. He loved it. We shot it on a C100, by the way. He gave us a Red for free. That's the short answer to that. I went to Hollywood, met him, saw the Komodo before anyone else had. It's a crazy story. But we shot that on a C100, and that video was useful, and he gave us a Red. But what I'm saying is, I didn't buy that Red. Like, I've bought the C100, C200. I've bought some lights. You know, like, it's been a slow process where we have no debt as a company. Like, everything is done with cash. All those Mac Studios out there, that was one of the biggest expenses I've had in years. But it was like, we need new computers at the studio. So we just slowly saved up, worked with what we had, worked with an iMac, worked with, you know what I mean? Like, just do what you can. And then when you need it, buy it. So that's the answer. When you need it, buy it. So think, do I need this camera? Do I need this tripod? If you need it, buy it. If you don't need it, don't freaking buy it. Dude, this is a social media clip, Nick. Like,
wasn't rapid fire though.
I know.
Like,
don't buy gear if you don't need it.
I'll say this.
Like, Jesus is my savior. Don't buy gear. If you don't need gear, don't buy the gear. Save your money.
You blew my mind when on social media you posted the music video you just filmed on the Red. And then I think somebody asked you, like, what lens was it? And I was like, I wonder what lens. And then when you said it was a 7200, the first version,
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Dude, there's no telling how old that lens is. I don't even know. It's like a real first version. Like, it's a real version. It's not even called the version 1. It's just the 70-200. Like, yeah, dude, I got that thing for $900. Like, that's not a lot for that lens. For, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you had a version 3, it's way more. Like, dude, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, it did.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, dang, what am I doing with my life?
Dude, like, look, there's nothing wrong with buying new gear if you need it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with getting nice, expensive gear if you need it. But if you don't need it, don't buy it. Because it's just like a new car. Like, what do most people say about new cars? Not everyone feels this way. But most people are like, as soon as you drive it off the lot, it decreases in value. Dude, it's the same with camera gear. Same thing. As soon as you start using it, 6 months goes by, there's going to be a new version. There's going to be a new camera. Why is it that for some reason 6 months later, this camera that was so amazing 6 months ago is no longer amazing? That's bullcrap. Like, it's still a freaking awesome camera. Like, C100 Mark II is still a fantastic 1080p camera. It didn't change. It's not a good camera anymore. There are other cameras that can do fancier things, yes, but like that doesn't make the C100 Mark II obsolete. Dude, I think that a camera, like in today's world, I think it has a 6 to 7 year life cycle. I do. Like, you can use a camera for 6 to 7 years before it's like, all right, now I'm seeing its age. I'm seeing the look. But not, some people, dude, I know guys that are trading cameras out like every year and a half, 2 years. Don't do that. That's stupid. Focus on telling good stories for your clients. Focus on lighting. Like, lighting is more important. Lighting and audio are more important than your camera and your lens. So, anyway, sorry. That was a bit of a rant.
That was amazing, though. I needed to hear it. Okay, rapid fire.
2 more rapid fire.
2 more rapid fires. How do you? Okay, like I'm not sure what it looks like for you here, but let's say you're in an area like Birmingham or Huntsville where there's a bunch of videographers. Like, what do you do to stand out? Like, what kind of piece of advice could you give to help stand out?
Stand together. Don't stand out. You, like this, the way Seed Creative works is proof. Like, don't have so much of like this individual mindset, because you can accomplish, I mean, people say it all the time, but like, it's true in business too. You can accomplish so much more standing together, being united with the videographers, with your competition. Like, be friends with them. I try to be friends with as much of the competition of mine as I possibly can be. Even if we're competing, even if we're going after the same clients, like, that's okay. But, I mean, standing out is good and important, but like, to me, it's like becoming a community, talking with the people that do what you do. Everyone's going to do better if you're all lifting each other up. Because, dude, I've got people in Birmingham right now. Kyle Roberts is an example. If there's something where it's like, we can't accomplish this by ourselves, I call Kyle, hey, dude, like, do you know someone that can do this, or can you do this, or whatever? What's your price? Instead of me being like, no, I don't want to work with him. He's my competition. It's like, who cares? We've bid against each other before, and we laugh about it. And I'm like, what'd you bid? And he tells me, and I'm like, oh man, I bid that too. Or like, I bid more, or I bid less, or whatever. And then it's really funny when neither one of us get the job, and it's some freaking person in Michigan or something shooting something in Alabama. It's like, crap. They were like way cheaper, or they're just really good at sales, whatever. But yeah, that's my advice, is just do you, man. Like, just, I don't look at, I've said this before on the podcast, I am running a race and there is a finish line, and I am not looking at anything but the finish line. I'm not looking beside me. I'm not looking behind me. I don't care what other people are doing. I care about what I'm doing. And if they can prove valuable to me and I can prove valuable to them, work together. You know what I mean? But like, if they're over here killing it and doing great, good for them. Don't be jealous. It's easy to be jealous, I know, but try not to be. Good for them. Mine's the next one. You know what I mean? Just, you focus on that finish line. Like, that's all that matters. Nothing else matters. What they're doing, who they're working with. Even if they're working with clients that you've worked with before, who cares? There's other clients. Like, just do your thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's my advice, is don't focus on standing out. You're gonna stand out if you just focus on that finish line. It's gonna naturally happen. You know what I mean? Don't think, I've got to do something to stand out. Just think, what is the best thing for my client? That's all you care about. Is the best thing for my client me not doing the job, but bringing someone else in that's more qualified? It'll still run through my company, but they know how to do this more than I do. Hey, Kyle, you're better at this than me. Can you come and work with me on this? He can. Great. Now we both made money. Client's happy. Everyone's happy. And you just made a freaking awesome product with someone that you can show to other people as a sales tool, and you get more work. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my advice. Kyle's gonna like that too. Hey, Kyle. So if he even listens, I don't know if he does or not.
That's all I got, man.
That's all you got?
That's all I got. Okay, last one. All right. You're talking to yourself very beginning. Like you today is talking to past you. What piece of advice would you give that?
Oh my gosh.
And
I
like,
hear people ask these questions, but I never thought I'd get asked that. Well, I'm not going to say don't give up because obviously I didn't. So that's one piece of advice that I hear people say. They're like, I would tell them, don't give up. It's like,
I'm still around, so
dude, I don't know. It's like, I'd probably just say, just keep doing what you're doing. It's going to suck sometimes, but you need it to suck so that you know what to do so that you can be this version to go back and tell yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest question, man. And I hope that doesn't come off as arrogant or braggadocious because I truly don't mean it to be like, well, I've done everything right. I haven't done everything right. That's the point. Like, I want to have struggles. Like, I'm going to have struggles now, like growing into the next version of Seed. Like, it's just part of it. But like, if you don't have the struggles, you don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I'm shrugging my shoulders for those only listening. I don't know. I mean, I guess hire a CPA earlier. I went too long without one, and then so like hire a competent. I had an accountant, but they were not competent, and they did a bad job, and like it's still stuff that I have to deal with. But like we have a good one now, and we're good. But like hire a competent accountant. That's it. That's the only thing where I'm like, I wish I wouldn't have had that struggle. Yeah, that's about it. We good?
I think it's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to the Seed Creative Podcast. If you have any questions, send Nick an email, not me. Nick at yourseedmedia.com. And thank you, Chris, for coming on. Hey, plug yourself, man. Who are you? Like, what's your website? What's your company name? You didn't do any of that stuff so that people in your area or people around your area know who you are and how to contact you.
Yeah. Chris Flores, company is CF Media. Website is chrisfloresmedia.com. I'm based in Albertville, Alabama. Yeah, that's all I got.
That's it.
That's it.
All right. See y'all later. This podcast was produced by Nick Golden with executive producer George Edmondson, edited by Nick Golden and Gavin Manning. Be sure to subscribe, drop a like and a comment. Tune in every Monday for brand new podcast content, and we'll see you on the next one.